What was your "I can't believe this is happening right now" moment of your life? I got a message one day from a stranger that said there's something we need to talk about that is important to both of us. I made some time for a call shortly thereafter, and the stranger called me. "Hi, you don't know me, but I think it's important that you know that my husband is sleeping with your wife. I know this because he left his Facebook logged into our computer at home, and I see everything they have been chatting about for months." Boom. Life upended. I was good to my wife. Really good. Then my life exploded. Children were involved, and families destroyed on all sides. That was the start of the worst year of my life. Over the next 6 months, I lost 40 pounds of weight and probably shortened my life by 10 years due to stress. Bonus points. It turns out that in my appointed position with the local government, I had given the guy an award the year before for his service to children. Good news. It's all good now. It was bound to happen. As I learned later, she was a serial cheater before me, so it's not like it wasn't going to happen at some point. I am with a great person now, and family life is great. I was in Rio. My mother had just given some money to a homeless dude. Few after that, a wild burglar appears, holding a knife against her chest. She gave him her purse and he ran away. The homeless dude then stood up and said something like, "She's a nice woman. Do not steal from her." They started arguing and the purse came flying. Somersault and all, back to her arms. That's some wholesome instant karma right there. Taking a phone call from my twin from the hospital to say her husband didn't make it after she'd found him unresponsive in VF and had done CPR on him while waiting for paramedics. All the time her kids were at my house. I was looking after them, but she didn't want me to tell them as she wanted to tell them herself. Hardest day of my life. A million times harder for her. Some days I still can't believe he's gone. I was swimming at a lake last summer. My sister has 7 kids, so I was helping her keep an eye on them. A little boy was bouncing up and down beside me. I thought the kids next to him were with him. Then I realized they swam away and he was by himself. But he wasn't play jumping. He was trying to stay above water. After 4 seconds of him going under and seeing that he actually wasn't tall enough to be in the 4-foot water, I reached over and grabbed him. The kid almost drowned. Turns out he was about 3 years old. He puked up a bunch of water all over me and I held that stranger's kid in a hug so tight. The parents were 20 feet away with their backs turned. It took me a good 10 minutes to find them after standing there in the lake screaming for them and asking random people if that was their kid. Could not stop shaking with the realization this kid could have died and I just saved him. I had to leave after that and haven't been back to that lake since. People, watch your kids please. Tons of kids die every year. Takes 1 minute of distraction. So I should mention the lake was Keystone State Park. They have no lifeguards on duty except for the holidays. Swim at your own risk. It was only June and from what I heard later, kids drowned there all the time. The parents were grateful, but I think they were extremely embarrassed, as they should have been. This happened to me at a hotel pool while I was watching my kids. 2 little girls were both hanging to a smell float that would not hold both their weight. The water was over thigh head. They appeared to struggle but I wasn't sure. When I grabbed them they hung on so tight. That feeling never leaves you. When my lawyer called me to tell me I won custody of my 3 kids, then an hour later my ex calls looking for her child support check and I got to tell her I won. No, I did not ask for child support. I didn't want to jinx my good luck and she wasn't working anyway, so the cost of going for it didn't justify. This was in 1998, in Virginia. I live in South Florida, so I went up and brought them down. The main help and my biggest supporter was my girlfriend at the time. She has been the superstar in all this. She was willing to help me raise them. Of course I married her and we had 1 kid together over the years. Together 23 years. Married for 20. The other 3 are grown and moved out already. That's when you ask for child support. The day my daughter was born, my sister showed up unexpectedly at the hospital. I assumed she was dropping by to see the baby. Nope. My dad was literally next door in the heart ward. This was a huge place and it was totally by chance. There were double doors between the baby and heart ward and he was on the other side with complications for heart failure. The emotions were so strong and conflicting I had to turn them off and I'm not sure they ever really came back. OMG. I'm so sorry. I woke up from what felt like a dream. Kind of like when you are half asleep and someone is talking to you and you know that they're there, but your mind is somewhere else. I was woken up to a man asking me what my name was, and my first thought was, well, that's a pretty good question, isn't it? I wasn't quite sure what my name was. I was still in a dream-like state where I couldn't really grasp the physical world. Then he asked me what day it was, to which I thought I couldn't tell you what day it was most days of the week. And then it clicked. It was Christmas Day. The guy waking me up was a paramedic getting ready to load me into a helicopter. My face was so broken that I couldn't open my eyes or make any sound more than a moan. But I wasn't in pain. My next thought was damage control. I got freaked up somehow. Still didn't remember what happened 12 years later. But I was being taken care of, and I still have all my teeth. First thing I did when I realized I was in bad shape was lick all my teeth to see if they were there. The moment where I thought I can't believe this is my life right now happened once I landed at the hospital. I always would think, when watching shows such as and the like, that it must be embarrassing to be injured and have a room full of people strip all your clothes off. So there I was laying on a table which felt like cold like metal, in a neck brace, uncomfortable, but butt naked, with people evidently scurrying around me. I chuckled to myself in my head how crazy it was that I was now that person naked in a hospital, but I didn't care at all. I was just comforted that I was being taken care of. Ski patrol told me I got knocked out and slid 200 yards, face down, unconscious. No one saw the accident, and because so few people were riding on Christmas Day, but they could tell by the tracks that I had left. I don't remember what happened at all, however. Needless to say, I wear a helmet when I ride now, which everyone should regardless of skill level. TLDR. Don't smash your face on a mountain at high speed. Slid 200 years down the mountain. Wow, that's a long time. I was completely exhausted having worked 32 hours. I sat down in a diner to eat. I get my fisherman's platter and this little guy in a booth across from me starts choking on a chicken finger. I get up, start doing airway clearing as I send my EMT for my equipment and the ambulance. I had 1 shrimp and 2 scallops. This poor kid is going grey. I can't get the obstructing piece of chicken out. Finally my McGill forceps and airway kit arrive and I managed to get some out, but most fell into the lung right bronch. The local volunteers arrive with no paramedics, so now I'm stuck going with them. I go to the hospital and basically kiss my dinner goodbye on the way out the door. My EMT stays behind to clean up and gather our crap. I take the ride in and thankfully the boy was fine, but I was ready to pass out from lack of food. I do my paperwork and my EMT shows up. She says we have to go back to the diner. I walk in figuring they want me to pay my bill, and I couldn't believe they made me a huge surf and turf dinner. No charge. The owner ended up being a great friend for years till his passing. I couldn't believe though that kid started choking right as my meal came. What timing? My EMT said I looked like someone kicked my dog as we walked out and my plate got further and further away. You're a good person. The phone call I got as I was leaving work, telling me I needed to get to the hospital ASAP because the results of my bone marrow biopsy the day before indicate I had leukemia. Literally everything stopped. The doctor kept talking, but I heard nothing he said. I rewatched that Breaking Bad episode when Walt gets the news. It's definitely like that. I had my day plus 100 bone marrow biopsy on 12/31 and got the results today. Everything is looking good. No evidence of AML. No evidence of FLT3. AML is bad, but having the FLT3 mutation makes it so much worse and harder to cure. In all reality, if I had been diagnosed 2-3 years ago, I might not be alive today. My chimerism test shows 100% male donor cells. I'm female, so things are going very well so far, knock on wood. Sheesh, that's rough. Hope everything turns out okay in the long run. Sorry for that. When the nurse handed us our first child ready to take her home, I looked at my wife and immediately thought, crap, we have to keep this thing alive. I was in the hospital for my dad after he got into a fender bender. Everything was going fine. He only had a sore neck and some minor scratches, up until the doctor came in, shut the curtain behind her and told him we found some spots on your lungs when we scanned you. Completely unexpected and heartbreaking. What's crazy is that the fender bender could have saved your father's life. Waking up to find messages from my friend saying he couldn't take it anymore and he was saying goodbye. I've never tried to call someone so quickly in my life, and during the whole thing was just, this can't be happening right now, as it was the first time I'd ever experienced anything like this, let alone the fact there was no warning. He's okay now, but please, if you are going through anything, talk to someone about it. And my DMs are always open to anyone that wants to speak. Please everyone, take care of your friends and family, even strangers, because that might just be what helps someone, even if you never know. When I woke up with my head lodged in between the car seat and the wall of the car after being hit by a drunk driver, I was asleep in the very back of my Toyota Sienna while my mom was driving, and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt during the time of the accident. Luckily for me, I managed to get away with just a scar to my forehead, even though I was flung across the car after being struck. I'm still flabbergasted I got away with just the scar. I broke down in the mountains late at night back before cell phones. I had my flashes on and my hood up and was standing outside trying to figure out what to do. 2 cops and a tow truck drove by without helping me. Hours later, a group of teenagers finally pulled over and offered to drive me to a phone to call for help. I was working at a group home with people who have physical and mental disabilities. We were all eating lunch when a client suddenly was choking. He turned blue and I thought, crap, here we go. I performed the Heimlich and he stopped choking and started to breathe. That was scary. I found my husband unresponsive and called 911. Did CPR. Paramedics came and took over. After 30 minutes they told me he was gone and there was nothing they could do. Tons of friends and family came over right away. For some reason it only hit me when one of our good friends told me not to worry about food or lawn care, as she was setting up a food train lawn care for me. That was the oh crap, this is really happening moment for me. The first time I walked up to a plane I'd rented for the day, signed off, did a pre-flight, got in and took off. I legally took an airplane out for a spin, and no one was monitoring me. It just seemed like an insane thing. Jesus, and I thought it was a big deal when I rented a truck to move house. Diagnosed with an incurable cancer at 33. I was given 2 months to live. 1 year later almost and I'm still kicking it. As sick as I was, I'm glad I'm standing here being the bad but I am. My prognosis is much better now. I won't beat this, but it's really given me a push to live life and love big. I won't beat this. No one does. But with your outlook you're already doing better than most. That would probably be having a conference call with my boss and HR telling me I was one of 50 people being laid off due to restructuring, while my now ex-wife was in the other room packing her things to move out of the house. Oof, I am sorry that happened to you. I hope you're doing better now. I live in an apartment with a balcony overlooking a canal. One evening my partner and I were out on the balcony having a smoke. There was nobody around except for a drunk guy stumbling down the path along the canal. My partner commented that he'd fallen if he wasn't careful, and sure enough, he did. We immediately called an ambulance and my partner ran outside to look for help. The guy was twice our size and if we'd tried to help by ourselves, we all would have drowned. Emergency services arrived in less than 10 minutes and pulled him out. He lived. Still gives me shivers to think about what would have happened if we hadn't been outside. Head-on collision with my motorcycle and a sewage drain. I had 1 second to decide to Superman off the front. The I can't believe this is happening right now moment came when I was mid-air. Similar situation. It's crazy how in the air everything goes so slowly. I remember being folded in half thinking crap my knees are by my ears, then bang. That would be the floor. I got caught in a riptide, a current that drags you deep into the ocean away from shore. I've never experienced one, so I fought the current and swam against it. I'm a poor swimmer, so I ended up exhausting myself. I'm out in the ocean with 2 of my friends when I realized I'm too exhausted to float. I remember that thought going through my head and was 100% prepared and expecting to die. I turned to them and said, guys, don't panic, but I have about 30 seconds left. Thank God a surfer saw me struggling and helped my friends throw me on his board. A lifeguard boat came a few minutes later. Happened to me too on the beaches of New Jersey. I was visiting my girlfriend and was swimming with her younger sister. Riptide grabbed us and pulled us out before we knew what was happening. We did manage to swim parallel to the shore for a bit before we were able to swim in. We were exhausted when we finally made it in and sat there in silence for a while. Finally got together with my crush. I can't believe this is happening right now. Drank too much and couldn't get it up. I can't believe this is happening right now. I feel this on a deep level. She didn't. It's probably not a big deal for most people, but that moment was when I got promoted from a $13 an hour position to a $22 an hour position after only being with the company for 6 months. I still can't believe how lucky I am to have jumped so far up the company chain so early on. My moment was when I drove my recently murdered little sister's car off the crime scene once the police released it into my stepmom's custody. She had been killed in said car. My uncle shot himself in his car halfway up my driveway. It's a long driveway, but the police left the car where it was, and 2 weeks later I had to finally drive the car up to the barn. I vomited and cried through the whole experience. I'm really sorry for your loss, friend. When I was 14, just playing the newly released Arkham City, the doorbell rang and the police came to our house in order to tell us our dad died in a car accident. Just ran into my room to have the loudest and longest holler of my entire life. I was 9. My mother and stepfather had gotten into a fight and she decided that everything that caused them to argue had to go, including me. She got the rifle and chased me. I hid for hours until she lost interest. As I hid in the barn, I was wondering if this was a normal thing or not. This happened many years ago, summer of '84. I am living an amazing life now and she isn't in it. This is only one of the things that happens to me and one of the few I am willing to talk to about. Thanks for the well wishes, and to those that are younger and still coping, you got this. I was selected to carry the Olympic torch back in 2002. I still to this day do not know what was submitted that convinced them to allow this. I am not anyone special. Didn't really think too much of it until the day I'm running down the street carrying the torch. People lining the road for miles on end to see this event. It was an experience that I cannot even describe. The time I got punched by a wild mountain gorilla. Backstory, I was in Uganda, where they sell $500 permits where you can hike into the forest with guides and then spend an hour with the gorillas. If that sounds steep, I believe it's even more now, and is kept high so the locals have incentive to protect overpoach the gorillas. One of the gorillas in the troop we were going to visit had the name Punchy in the local language because he enjoyed the teenage male game enjoyed by many species of I hit you, you hit me back. So upon seeing us he ran towards our group, knocked over one girl, and came to me and hit my gut. Luckily it was a play punch to see if I was interested, and the guards dragging me away to make sure he wouldn't think I was hurt more. But yeah, wild moment for sure. My wife was robbed and carjacked at gunpoint. When I answered my phone and heard her hysterical voice telling me she was just robbed, my entire world stopped. I didn't know if she was hurt. I didn't know where she was. I couldn't process anything. The drive from our house to where she was one of the scariest few minutes of my life. I remember actually repeating out loud "this isn't happening" as I tried not to panic on my way to her. Glad she was okay and didn't resist. I had a semi-automatic rifle, well too, pointed at me. Years ago the bank next door to where I work was robbed. The robbers decided to use the store as an escape route. I remember eating a banana. I froze and just dropped it when they walked in. As soon as they were out the back door I was running for the front door. One of the scariest moments of my life. Watching the water slowly creep into my house during Hurricane Matthew, I had taken every measure to block the doors with sandbags etc. It was in vain as the water came in through my foundation. Scariest experience of my life, and not knowing how to answer my 8-year-old son when he asked Mom, "Are we gonna be okay?" As in actual disbelief, I get a car serviced from the airport for work trips. Was on a totally nondescript work trip. Was in Manhattan for the week. Didn't go out much or anything outside of working. Just kinda set up shop in my kitchenette suite for food. I mentioned that because I had bought some paper plates at a Dwayne Reed, which I realized was dumb because I needed maybe 3 for the week and had 20 something left over. So I put them in my carry-on to take back with me. Wasn't an issue necessarily, but Tsar thought it was weird, so they took them out to check for explosive residue. They were actually super nice about it. Anyway, no problem. I kept them in there. I mention all of this only because I'm heading down the escalator toward baggage claim at my home airport. See my driver with my name on his tablet, etc. I approach him and he confirms my identity. He then, deadly serious, says something like, "I have to inform you that I am a federal agent and we're taking you in for questioning to the federal courthouse. Please follow me this way." I freeze. My brain goes back to those freaking paper plates that Tsar pulled out in NYC. Was there something on there? Do they think I'm a terrorist? I just look at him really dumb for what feels like an eternity, and this guy doesn't crack. I think I ask, "What are you talking about?" and then he finally drops it and says, "Man, I'm just playing with you. You got any bags?" TLDR. Thought I was being taken in by the feds for unknowingly carrying Dwayne Reed paper plate bombs. We found you now, you paper plate bomber. When I got an email stating I got the PhD position and to get ready to go to Antarctica. Still can't believe I've been there twice. I'm running late for work in the morning, trying to get the 4:59 am train, and in my foggy morning brain only see the cat too late. Swerve. Bang. Cat lives, but I pranged the parked Merc van. Freak out. Leave a note and call my boyfriend to help. I don't have insurance and am broke hospo uni student. Fast forward to an anxiety-ridden phone call I answer from the CEO of the company whose work van I hit. Tearful, sobbing apologies are made as I explain I can get a loan to cover the damage to his car, but it has to be a cash job. He asks to meet and discuss the situation in person. Frick it, I have to pay the money anyway, and this man deserves the respect of a heartfelt apology face to face. I meet him and his assistant for coffee. We talk and he gives me life lessons. We talk some more. He asks personal questions and I answer honestly because why not? I'm sure this dude could find out anyway if he wanted. He gets up for a smoke and I chat with his assistant. He comes back, gets the nod from his assistant, and then proceeds to shove a wad of cash into my hand. Tells me to sort my crap out, fix my car, get insurance and pay it forward when I get the chance, and leaves. Whoa, I wanted to share this because I know plenty of people, myself included, have little faith in others these days. Good people are still out there. To answer some recurring questions. No, I haven't paid it forward yet. This happened only a few months ago and I am still a broke but uni student who now has a recently repaired car with full comprehensive insurance. I personally would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed. So trust me, if I am ever loaded or I am able to help out people, I will. I give what I can to the homeless and grew up with my family donating to charities. It's something I really believe in. No, he was not a Christian Grey and there were number 50 Shades-esque activities. Would make a much more interesting story than we talked over coffee. I forgot to include how I understand how stupid and reckless it is to drive without insurance. This situation is single-handedly the biggest frick up moment of my life, and in no way am making excuses for not having insurance. It honestly came down to me being an idiot and accidentally letting it lapse. He probably realized you were genuinely sorry and worried about getting it all fixed, as opposed to just being a teenager who was acting distraught to maybe get out of paying to have it taken care of. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.